Hey guys, and welcome to another Age of Empires 2 Rank 1v1 audio commentary. In this game for you today I have a ranked 1v1 Nomad game that I played on the weekend, and the matchup is Saracens versus Lithuanians. Now I already have a video of me playing as the Saracens on Nomad in a 2v2. That video is probably from 7 months ago, and it's probably the lowest quality match that I've posted on my channel as the game was very one-sided. And I've also got a video where I played against the Lithuanians as Berbers, and I uploaded that video a few months ago as well, and that was a 1 versus 1 Nomad game. But I thought it was worth posting another Saracens video because this gives me a bit more of a chance to showcase some of the flexibility of the civilization. Saracens have one of the most open tech trees out of all the civilizations in the game. In Castle Age, they might have the second or third best Castle Age technology tree, possibly even the second best, with Malians being the single most flexible Castle Age civilization, Saracens not being far behind. And I'm going to probably unpause the game and just get into the replay. So I've got two villages that spawned in the middle of the map, and one of them can already see a wood line, and my second villager walking towards the wood line has found a gold, and then one of my villagers spawned on the shore, and there's a deep fish pretty much right next to where I started, so I'm going to build a dock and a house with that villager. Now, for most civilizations, a TC on wood and gold is probably the most ideal TC. Some civilizations you'd probably prefer to have TC'd on stone, but with Saracens, TCing on gold is good, but it's not. They're a civilization that doesn't necessarily need to TC on gold, because one of the things that you can do with Saracens is you can use their economy bonus, which I'm going to pause the game and show off in the tech tree, and that is, well, there's actually two of them. There's markets cost 75 wood, and market buy-sell fee is 5%. And what that means is when you build a market and you want to sell a resource, normally you have to pay a commodity fee of 30%. So if you want to buy 100 food, it costs 130 gold. But with Saracens, it only costs 105 gold. And that means that if you're attempting to do a fast castle on Nomad, it's efficient for you to just sell wood or even sell food to click up to Castle Age, and you can actually, with some builds, you can actually skip building a mining camp on gold, get up to castle just by building a market and rebalancing your resources, and then you can build your first town center on gold or something like that. It's probably more something you would do in a team game than a 1v1 though, but that's because I've TC'd on gold. It's not something that I'm going to be doing this game. I'm going to put the view lock back on now. So my house there is touching the edge of the dock. Normally you'd probably, like most people, build the house one tile back, but I think in that instance it's fine. It's given me a little bit of shelter just in case. So you can see the enemy sheep has already found my dock. Now I'm just looking. What I was intending on doing there is grabbing the sheep, and I've managed to grab that because I didn't actually start with a sheep, so that's going to be handy to help me get a little bit of map scouting. And I'm just trying to move my villager back in to start working on shorefish again. Now the enemy's dock is quite close, and he's coming over to either try and vil fight me or wall me in, so I'm going to quick wall myself in just to protect my villager. And because there's quite a lot of walling that the enemy villager would have to do to wall my dock villager into the dock, he hasn't opted to do that, and he's opted to go back, which is a good thing for me. So one of the unfortunate things about my start here is that because I didn't get a sheep close to my town center, now about this time in the game is when I want to be pulling in my first boar under the TC, and I don't have a boar. I actually can't see any food near my TC. So the sheep has found a hunt patch, but I'm going to be late onto food in this game. So it's most likely that I'm probably going to have to queue up loom after the next villager, or maybe force drop food from the dock. No, there we go. I managed to squeeze in an extra villager, but I really need to get some food under my TC, and I don't want to use the sheep because I need to use the sheep to be able to scout the map to find other resources. Now, I know some players would be very tempted to get the sheep under their TC, but I don't think it's worth it in this instance. I absolutely think it's worth queuing up loom, and finally the sheep has found a boar, so it was lucky that there was something close to my TC, so I'm going to be able to bring that in now, and I'll probably just have a little bit of idle TC time because I'm not going to have the food in time to be able to get the villager out without idle TC, even though I've got 5 villagers working on food. So I'm going to try and do a force drop. No, I still need to collect 20 more food, 10 more food. I can force drop now, and then I end up probably having about 10 seconds of idle TC, which is not too bad, but it's not ideal. It's definitely not a perfect start. Now I found a berry patch, and one of the things that I probably didn't consider with my scouting at this stage in the game is that I found a boar that, so I mentioned in a previous video that on Nomad, boars spawn in triangles, and I think they spawn based on the distance from the shoreline. So the map generator will generate the island, and then it will place a triangle of boars a little bit in from the shoreline. And so often there'll be 2 close to the shore and 1 inland or something like that. So I'd found probably the tip of the triangle, and then so what I probably should have done is sent my sheep towards the shore, but instead I'd opted to scout the edge of the map, and I've actually just lost the sheep there. So I'm going to send over a villager to see what's up and build a really early outpost in Dark Age, and then I've spotted my enemy opponent walking around with a villager as well. He walked into my TC, which makes me a little bit late to go out and build the house, but I'm actually able to kill the villager with the town centre. And then I spotted that there's a house on the hill, and then with the outpost, I can't see the enemy TC, but I've got a good feeling that it's just south of where I placed that outpost. And that outpost actually, I think, is one of the best decisions that I made this game, because it provides such value over the course of the game. And I'm going to point out what happens later in the game when those events occur. So I need to build another house, and I'm very low on food. I don't have a second boar. I've lost my sheep, and my only option here is to either build a mill on berries or take the hunt. So I'm going to send some villagers out to the hunt in the middle of the map just to take that hunt, and I'm going to do that because I've got cover of the outpost. So I'll see if my opponent comes forward to try and to also take that hunt patch, and I'm using a villager to scout to try and find my enemy TC location, and that will help me choose a strategy based on where his TC is. So I found it, and I'm lucky to avoid the arrow fire there. I noticed it just in time, and I've also discovered that there's a stone in between my TC and my opponent's TC, so I'm going to make a house on that stone. So I've got some vision if that's the stone that my opponent tries to take later in the game. I also have access to a safe stone off to the right of the wood line. And I can see that my opponent's bringing in that boar there. It was just running towards his TC. And again, I don't have access to much food. So normally I would have bought a few boars in under my TC, but I've only found 1. So I'm having to make do with what I've got. I'm using 8 villagers to long distance take hunt to bring food in under my TC. It's enough with the fishing ships to keep my TC running, but it does mean that I'm going to be delayed to feudal age. So normally I'd probably want to be trying to click up between 19 to 21 villagers, but I just don't see that happening in this game. And I've already had to research loom as well. So I managed to pick up another sheep, and I'm going to have to build a mill on the hunt so I can officially take food a little bit better. And there is if only I'd found that berry patch first. There we go. I finally found another boar, so I'll be able to bring that into my TC, and that'll give me some food going into feudal age, because my food count's looking pretty good at the moment. I should be able to get up quite soon. I mean, I can force drop. I'm just having to build a house because that's quite a long distance lure. I'm using the house trick so that my villager doesn't die. I'm also using 1 villager to weaken the boar, and I also use the sheep to block it a little bit. So I had to do a couple of tricks to get that boar under the TC, but now I really need to try and get the food in. I'm going to build a second dock on the opposite side of my opponent's docking position as well. So now I'm able to click up to feudal age at 24 villagers. So it's quite a slow feudal time out of all of sort of the 1v1 replays that I've posted. But my opponent hasn't reached feudal age yet as well, so the discrepancy is not going to be too major. And I'm also going to build a second outpost to the left of his TC to just give me a little bit more information as to what he's doing, and just in case he tries to expand that direction. in the game. So I'm going up to feudal age. I'm about halfway there, and I've got a sheep under the TC. My food income's looking pretty good. Once those villagers drop off the food, my food account is probably going to be quite high. I just am a little bit late to gold. I haven't started going to gold yet, and I've opted to build a lumber camp because my town center wasn't in a fantastic position adjacent to the wood. So I could see that my opponent is actually temporarily mining that stone, and he's coming forward to build a tower to try and secure the stone so he can safely take that. And because of that outpost, I've actually noticed that he's done that, and I'm going to come in and fight the tower with villagers because I don't, under any circumstances, want to allow to go that up. So he's got 5 villagers there. I've pulled quite a few of my villagers from under the TC, and I'm Vil fighting him. I managed to kill a villager, and then he has to bail because I have too many villagers. I'm also going to place a tower as well. I probably could have cancelled my tower, but I've opted to build it anyway. And then that's going to give me some control over that stone. And I'm using my dock villager to attempt to lame my opponent's lumber camp. But in actual fact, the way that I've done it actually doesn't do anything. It's not going to prevent the villagers from being able to collect the wood from the lumber camp. So it was a little bit of a fail there. And now I've got some villagers on gold. My economy is really unbalanced. I've got pretty much too much food, but not enough gold, and I've got no wood. And I haven't built any of the prerequisite buildings. I also sent 3 villagers. I've got 2 villagers on stone as well, which is going to allow me to build a second tower. And I spotted with the outpost that my opponent had sent some villagers over to the left, and I can actually see once I researched Town Watch that he's actually taking that stone to the south. And because I had the 2 villagers on stone, I can actually afford a second tower. So I'm going to come in and tower his stone and make sure that I try and deny his access to stone. Because one of the things that the Lithuanians can do is they can go for a castle and get out latest, which is one of the best, probably castle age, if not the best castle age cavalry unit that you can make from the castle. And ideally, I don't want him to be able to go for that strategy, and I'm going to wall in that tower with 1 villager as well. So that should deny his access to stone and hopefully prevent him from being able to go a castle in early castle age. So now I've got enough wood for a market. I need to build that. I'm going to build that with 3 villagers. I've got the resources for castle age, but I don't have the building, so I quickly need to rush them up. Now I've got the wood for the blacksmith. I'm going to rush that up with 4 villagers as well. So I'm going to have quite a late castle time, but because I've made the 2 towers in the middle of the map and secured both of the stones, I can make sure that my opponent isn't on stone, and he's opted to go for some fire ships to take me off water. Ideally, I would like to contest that, so I'm going to make a fire ship. I'm going to queue up double bit axe, and now I've clicked up to castle age. I'm going to have kind of a late castle time, but I think I've got a good amount of map control going into castle age. So I should be okay. Even if my opponent beats me up to castle age, I should be fine. I'm on stone, and I'm getting the stone mining upgrade, and I'll put 11 villagers on stone, so I can go for a castle as my castle age opening. And ideally, I'd like to get an aggressive castle up, but I'm unsure if I'm going to be able to execute that at this stage. Apologies for the screaming. That's a mod that I have installed, but it's very handy when I'm playing because it's letting me know that my economy is under attack. But when I'm doing these recordings, it can be a little bit annoying to listen to. So ideally, I should probably disable that mod when I record these videos. So sorry about that. I've still got some fishing ships working. I actually sent 1 fishing ship away, the one that was being attacked by the fire ship, to lure his fire ship away just so I can get some extra fish income in. My opponent has reached castle age, and he's going to beat me to castle age by a minute to 2.5 minutes. And so that means I'm gonna have to start thinking about defenses. And I'm gonna rush up a barracks because I might need to build a stable and some knights depending on what his castle age opening is. And I'd spotted that he was going for an instant siege workshop. So now I have enough stone to pick up the castle age. Castle age is coming in, but because my opponent has built a siege workshop, the possibility of having a mangonel defense is going to mean that it's better for me to build a defensive castle because it's just too risky to go forward when my opponent's most likely making mangonels. And I'm also going to build a stable I'm going to make sure that I get double bid axe in early, because I have played my one Nomad loss that I have in 1v1 so far. I didn't research double bid axe as soon as I got to Castle Age, and then I found myself in mid Castle Age having wood problems because I was trying to do so many things and I just didn't have the wood income. And here comes the mangonel. The tower's shooting it. I'm going to have to do a little bit of micro here with the villagers. So I'm going to garrison the tower, pull my villagers away just at the last second. I lose one villager, but that's okay. The castle's going to go up. I sent one villager forward to harass the mangonel, and I've also queued up a spearman. The spearman's not going to kill the mangonel, but it's going to push the mangonel back at least, because I want to try and keep my tower alive and keep the mangonel from circling around into my economy. My opponent's actually built 2 of them. Now I am starting to queue up some farms, because I'm losing my fishing economy. I'm quite low on food. I'm going to make a Mameluke as well, because the Mameluke will be able to take down the mangonel. And I've got quite an imbalanced economy at the moment with 400 food, so I'm gonna have to do something about that. I'll buy 100 food. I'm gonna make a second town center on the gold to the north of my TC, and I've continued to start throwing down some farms, because you need a minimum of 6 farms to keep the town center running. So it looks like my opponent actually killed his other mangonel with his own mangonel, which is pretty funny. So I should be able to micro this one down with the Mameluke. I'm also making a knight as well, just so I can run the knight around and possibly kill a villager or 2 in my opponent's economy. So I'm going to garrison that Mameluke and heal him up. And then I've still got those fire ships garrisoned in my dock, which I'd kind of forgotten about. I've got plenty of villagers on wood. I've got enough food to keep one town center running. I'm sending the knight into my opponent's economy. He's gone for a monastery. He's building a monk. I probably should have deleted that knight, but unfortunately he gets converted. So that was a mistake by me. And then I'm going to queue up another Mameluke as well, because Mamelukes easily kill knights. It's one of the good things about Saracens is that they have very good answers to knights in their camels and Mamelukes. I'm just slowly building up my farming economy. My economy is still probably a little bit imbalanced, and at the moment I've got enough wood for a 3rd town center. I should probably think about building that. And there we go, I'm placing the 3rd town center over on another wood line. My opponent's score is actually higher than mine. So at this stage I was thinking that the higher score was most likely due to fishing ships, because you get a higher score from making ships in general, and also getting kills when you're playing water. It sort of inflates your score quite a lot compared to stuff on land. So the fact that I lost water and my score is still even with my opponent kind of means that I'm in a good economic spot going into sort of mid-Castle Age. I've got good vision on my opponent's main base. One of the things that I probably should have noticed that I hadn't actually noticed, just going to pause the game, if we have a look at what I can see from my opponent's eco, is there isn't a single farm in this. So I'm just going to take the fog of war off. You see that? There's not a single farm around my opponent's town center. Now, this is not something that I considered when I was playing the game, but a sign of no farms should actually mean that the opponent will most likely have fishing economy. So at this stage, my opponent's only got 5 farms. So I guess it's probably a sign of not fantastic economy balance. So as you can see, my opponent does have villagers in queue, and he does have 11 on food, and that's because he's taking hunt resources on a new TC. But because of not seeing farms around the starting town center, I should have probably, and I will be mindful of this in future games, it's probably a sign that the opponent's either got fishing economy or town centers elsewhere, and I need to go and look for those. Whoops, I'm on the wrong player. Alright, so I'm queuing up wheelbarrow, and I'm also going to make a scout, because my opponent has made monks, and I need scouts to be able to kill the monks. I'm also queuing up a couple of camels, because camels is probably the Saracens' best unit in early to mid Castle Age, because they have a plus 25% bonus to their hit points. They're actually the strongest Castle Age camels in the game after the recent buff to their hit points, which is pretty crazy. So Lithuanians, I guess, default unit in Castle Age is probably knights, particularly if you can get some relics for those knights. And again, I've got a pretty good feeling here, because I'm playing camels and I haven't seen anything apart from monks to cause me worry. And I'm using the scout to scout the map, and I've found that my opponent has actually town-centered to the southwest of the map. So I'm going to send my cavalry units over there. Now I've finally got my farming economy going, so I'm able to constantly produce from three town centers. I've just killed the converted knight, so I'm going to send my camel units over to see what's going on the left side of the map. And I've still got 9 villages on stone. And there's another monk trying to convert my cavalry units. He's actually probably there to try and pick up that relic. And what I'm intending to do here is I'm going to castle drop my opponent's new economy setup to try and put some pressure on his economy and get a better spot going into Castle Age. I'm also continuing to make outposts across the map so that I've got vision and I can see what my opponent's doing. And I would have thought that I would have killed that monk. That was an insanely fast conversion. Very, very, very unlikely to see conversions at that speed after the new monk balance. So that was very surprising that my scout got converted there. So I'm also making another stable. I've almost got enough stone to build the castle. I'm going to send the villagers over there now to do that. I'm pulling villagers from stone and gold. I've got a little bit of vision on what's there. I can also see a partially built house. I'm going to make another scout to replace that. It's very quiet on the right side of the map at the moment. I can also see that my opponent's built an outpost there. He's going to know that I'm coming. I'm going to try and get the castle in range of the town centre so it can shoot it down. And just continue to expand my farming economy. I'm also going to mill the berries over there. Unfortunately, another house has been placed and it's blocked my castle foundation, so I'm a little bit late to placing my castle. I'm going to send those cavalry units into the economy to see if I can get some kills. I'm going to research light cavalry, and there's a bunch of monks there, but I've got a couple of scouts, so hopefully I'll be able to get the monks. And I've lost a couple of camels there to conversions, and camels are very, very bad at killing monks, but I've managed to take them all down. Unfortunately, the converted camels are going to cause me a little bit of a problem here, and that Mameluke's going to be completely useless against the camels. My castle goes up first, fortunately. I lose a couple of villages in the process, but it does cause a little bit of disruption to my opponent's economy. And I'm now 300 points ahead, so I'm looking pretty good in terms of being ahead in economy. And here it's going to, because of the proximity of the two castles close to each other, that's going to mean a race to Imperial Age. So I'm going to focus on getting to Imperial Age as fast as I can here. I've currently got 12 idle villages. I need to fix that. My economy is a little bit... it's because they're garrisoned in the castle, so I need to ungarrison those villages and probably put them on gold. I'm going to send my camels back. Actually, yeah, I just noticed I didn't have the gold mining upgrade. That's going to be handy. Currently, I think I've got a TCQ to berries, and my food income is very, very inefficient. But there must be 10 villages on berries over there. And I only just noticed that I still had some fire ships left over in my dock. I did want to upgrade those to fire ships and take out my opponent's fishing economy, but I'd just forgotten about them, unfortunately. And I built a monastery to pick up that relic, and I also want to be making some monks as well. I'm going to use that monk to heal up my weak units. So I've still got a couple of villages on gold, but again, I've almost got enough stone for a third castle. And I'm almost up to 40 villages on food, and my resources for Imperial Age are going to be looking pretty good here. At this stage, I probably think I could consider idling my town centers a little bit to get the food in for Imperial Age. So I'm just not queuing up any villages at the moment, just waiting for that food to come in. I've got the gold, I just need, there we go, I've got enough food, and I'm going to click Imperial Age. And I'd spotted that my opponent was on both of the mineral resources on the stone and gold, thanks to the tower that I built earlier. So I managed to disrupt his ability to take those mineral resources, and because I had upgraded to light cav, my light cav was easily able to snipe the 2 monks that my opponent had made. Also getting in bloodlines now as well. And I'll need to find something to do for those villages. I've killed quite a lot of villages here in that raid, so that was nice. Camels aren't the best raiding unit, and now my opponent has decided to swap into pikemen. So I'm queuing up a couple of extra Mamelukes after seeing the pikemen, because camels are pretty crap against pikemen. Mamelukes are a little bit better, but ideally, if he's going to be going into pikemen, I'm going to be wanting to make a tech switch. And I'm building an extra siege workshop here, and I'm ideally going to be making so that the siege workshop is actually placed because I want to go bombard cannons in Imperial Age. So once that goes up, I can queue up chemistry, and then I can also go bombard cannons and trebuchets. So I'm going to be wanting to treb down my opponent's castle on the TC to the southwest, and also take out his main TC. Building the second siege workshop now. I'm also going to place the third castle, and I'm putting that on his main town centre. Getting in the forging upgrade, making a couple of extra camels. Still haven't seen anything more of military from my opponent. I'm getting in sanctity for the monks, which is a very important upgrade. And I've played a few games recently where I hadn't gotten sanctity on the monks, and I hadn't got any conversions. So I learned my lesson, and I definitely remembered to get sanctity this game. And I'm sort of floating the wood and gold because I want to be able to make some trebuchets as soon as I get to Imperial Age. I might even buy some wood here. So I've got enough wood for one trebuchet, so I'll buy one. Sorry, I queue up one trebuchet, queue up conscription, and then I think I did end up balancing the resources at the market a little bit to afford a second trebuchet. And then I can see my opponent's back on those mineral resources, so I'm going to go in for another raid, queuing up +2 armor on the cavalry. The camels are a little bit better against the villagers with the forging upgrade, and there we go. There's a lot more pikemen now, so this is a good sign to make a tech switch into something else. So I'm going to queue up some scorpions at the siege workshop, and I'm going to make an archery range. And one of the things about the Saracens is because of their open tech tree, you can very easily make a switch from cavalry into archery range units, and Saracens have access to arbalest as well as heavy camel, and they're sort of one of few civilizations that have both of those units. Actually, Malians have both heavy camel and arbalest, but they're missing bracer. So I don't actually know if there's that many civs that get fully upgraded arbalest and fully upgraded heavy camel. It's quite a thing. I think it's pretty unique to the Saracens. I'm trying to think of what other civilizations get it. Mongols get both, but they don't get the final armor on the camels, and they don't get the final armor on the arbalest. So that's one other civ that has it. Ethiopians get both, but they don't get bloodlines or +4 armor on their camels. So I'd have to check. I'll check later after the game if there's another civ that can play both fully upgraded camels and arbalest. So I've made the archery range. I think I queued up Vodka Arrow, and I managed to save my trebuchet there from the pikemen with a combination of camels and scorpions. Taking out my opponent's main town centre. Built a second archery range. I'm also queuing up some extra light cav, because at this stage I want to be raiding my opponent and keeping his villager count down. I also queued up a knight because knight is better against pikemen, and I was able to get a few villager kills with the knight. And now I'm starting to queue up some crossbowmen. Also got enough stone for another castle. Queuing up an extra archery range. I think that trying to convert a light cav or something like that. So I can't see anything in my opponent's main base with the light cav. I'm also housed, so I really need to make some new houses. My opponent is trebbing down my castle that is closest to his TC. I'm not opting to repair that at the moment because I've got several castles, and I'm just going to let that go down, and I'm going to hold position with my army. So now my opponent's upgraded to halberdiers, got some scorpions there. I still haven't really got any crossbows because I've been housed, but I should be able to hold that position with what I've got for now. I've lost my castle. I can see my opponent's doubling down on the barracks. So I'm going to queue up Thundering and Arbalest, and because I lost the castle, I've got housed. So I've been housed for quite a while here, which isn't great. I'm also getting in the heavy plough upgrade because I hadn't got that in yet. I'm missing a couple of eco upgrades that I should probably have at this stage of the game. I'm missing handcart. I'm also missing the gold shaft mining upgrade. I do have plenty of gold in the bank at this stage though. It's just the main issue is that I'm housed, and I really need to make some more houses. I'm going to make that other castle just to secure the center of the map and slowly push forward from the initial position on the right with the trebuchets and push down his production buildings. So he's coming again to my trebuchet. equipped halberdiers. I've got some crossbowmen there now, sending the Mamelukes and Camels in under the castle. Getting in the ballistics upgrade because I don't have that yet. So I've got reasonably upgraded arbalests now. I actually already have a university, so I'm building a double university because I thought I didn't have one. I don't think I've researched chemistry at this stage. I can't remember if I did or not. And then I'm going to lose that treb, but I've got the arbalest there, so I'll be able to hold that position. And I'll be able to bring in the trebuchets from the right side of the map to push down the production buildings. I'm going to queue up heavy camel because I can go a combination. I've got plenty of resources, so I can go heavy camel arbalest as my combination. Saracens don't get access to cavalier, but heavy camels are good enough in a pinch, and now I'm getting heavy cart and chemistry finally. I've got quite a few idle villages. I'll end up doing something with those at this stage. My opponent's got a bank of trebs, and he's pushing in the castle that I just built. So I'm going to use that opportunity to move my trebs in to take out his original castle. And I've got to get my arbalests into a good position here, so I'm going to move them around the right of the trees. There's a lot of villages on that gold mine as well. So I'm getting some rams in the queue. The rams will help me take down the trebuchets. Ideally, I'd be upgrading those to cap ram as well. Getting in the armor for the archers as well. Oh, there's some lighters. That's the first time I've seen those coming in. Might be able to get a couple of conversions with the monk, but I'm going to lose the trebuchets to the lighters. And I'm going to have to micro my arbalests around the other side of the trees again to focus those down. Got a ram coming in. Got a lucky trebuchet shot on that treb, and I can kill the other trebuchet with the rams. Population's looking good. I've still got quite a few idle villages, but overall, like, even though I haven't really been paying too much attention to my economy, my villager distribution is actually pretty good. Like 26 on wood, 32 on food, 38 on gold, 16 on stone. Like, that's pretty balanced, even though like I've got resources in the bank. I've got plenty of stuff in my production queue. It's really good when you get into the stage of having like a natural macro cycle that you don't have to think of. You just automatically sort of balance things out without having to put too much active decision making into it. At this stage, I'm not really seeing much more military from my opponent. I think his economy is struggling. He's still got a few halberdiers coming out, but he's just not in the position to be able to tech switch out of it. Lithuanians do have amazing skirmishes, but I don't think my opponent has the time or the resources to do anything else but make Arbs, and it's just not going to do anything against the arbalests. And there we go, the game is over. So if we go to the map, one of the things that I missed is there is a distinct lack of farms that I can actually see. And I guess a lot of the farms were along the shoreline, but I hadn't noticed that my opponent had such an expansive fishing economy. And at the end of the game, like, I think he only ever got up to about 80 villages, but I think he ended up having 30-something fishing ships. So there's 7 there, 6 there, that's 13, 18, 20, 28 fishing ships. And he's done the right thing. So like when you win water, this is exactly what you want to do. You want to keep expanding your docks around the outside of the map so you can more efficiently take the deep fish resources. So this is really good from my opponent. He probably could have built some fish traps though, and I think he's also missing the gill nets upgrade. Dock, where is it? Yeah, so he doesn't have gill nets. He really should have got that as well. Yeah, so the Saracen flexibility there was really nice because I was able to initially make the camels and then just do an easy tech switch into arbalest. And the thing that I was mentioning before is I think Saracens might be the only civilization that gets access to fully upgraded arbalest and fully upgraded camels. So let's have a look at the other civs that have it. Turks, they don't have arbalest. Tatars don't have arbalest. Persians don't have arbalest. They also don't have bracer. Again, Mongols have arbalest, but they don't have the armor on their camels or their arbalests. Malians don't get bracer for their Arbs. What else have we got? Who else gets camels and arbalests? Hindustanis don't get it. Gujaras don't get it. And then I think Ethiopians, they don't get bloodlines or +4 armor in their cavalry. Humans don't get either. Yeah, so that's a unique thing to Saracens, is they get both. They're the only civ in the game that gets both fully upgraded heavy camel and arbalest. And because of the market bonus, it's very easy to balance your resources to be able to afford both. And Nomad is a map where you can go for a double gold composition like this, because there's a lot of access to gold on the map, particularly if you have map control. I don't think this commentary was as good as the one that I'd previously recorded, but it will have to do. And I thought that my choice of going for the map control and towering my opponent's stones and making sure that he couldn't go straight into a castle was a good decision. And I think my opponent made a bad decision. He made quite a bad tower here that he didn't really need to make, and he also made a lot of outposts down here trying to find resources, and that meant that he couldn't go straight into multiple town centres. And I was able to, even though I lost my fish, I was able to get an economic lead going into Castle Age. My opponent did a pretty good job with the monks early on, but again, I was in Imperial Age first, and I was on top of him, and he was just reacting to me the whole game. Okay, that's all for this one. Thanks for watching, guys, and I hope you look forward to the next video.